You guys don't need to worry about me getting revenge from Diddy. I've got 3 moves that make sure he'll never be able to come after me or my family. First, I personally reached out to the victims' legal teams. The real reason he's not getting out is those buried cases behind the scenes. I provided legal funding for 7 victims who had been silent for years and brought in the top criminal attorneys in the country. Second, I bought up every potential post-release business deal he had lined up. I planned this 2 years in advance, so by the time he got sentenced and still had hope of getting out, every partner had already cut ties with him. Third, I don't just have evidence, I've got backups. This is an entire minefield that's been buried for 20 years. I uncovered every secret from the last 30 years. With testimonies from the victims, we interviewed over a dozen people he tricked, threatened, or violated. You think that's harsh? No, he destroyed other people's lives for decades. I'm just making sure he spends a few extra years in prison for it. I'm not afraid of his people, not afraid of his threats. I know he's still in there fantasizing about a comeback, but the truth is,
we're getting involved in...
I didn't have a choice. It got bad when I was about 15 years.
He was known to be at Diddy's white parties. And one Aaron Carter told us about his brother. He said because he outed all of this information, people were coming out.
When 50 Cent releases a documentary examining events that many believe were kept out of public view, the conversation shifts dramatically. Suddenly the focus is no longer on rumors or speculation, it becomes about why certain questions remained unanswered for so long. By revisiting the rise and tragic decline of Aaron Carter and placing his story within the same timeline as the immense influence once associated with Sean Diddy Combs, the film pushes audiences to confront a far more uncomfortable issue. The real question may not be what people knew, but why action seemed so slow to follow. As familiar names such as Justin Bieber appear along similar industry paths, the documentary begins to suggest a broader pattern, one where silence and influence may have shaped the narrative for years.
The love of your father and losing him, and then yet earlier you acknowledged that your father had put a to your head and fired it.
Sean Diddy Combs has been swimming in both criminal and civil law.
What? Wow. Talking about a transition. Man.
Ever since he got indicted, and the storm doesn't seem to be letting up anytime soon. Recently, another wave of accusations has just been leveled at him, this time a staggering 25 lawsuits alleging inappropriate relationships with younger individuals. And while the whispers about his past connections with Justin Bieber and Usher during their early careers have been making rounds in the past months, a new shocking name has entered the conversation: Aaron Carter. Aaron, who allegedly first met Diddy at just 9 years old, is now being linked to allegations that have sparked heated discussions.
When 50 Cent frames his documentary around what was hidden, the goal is not to revive old gossip but to re-examine the timeline itself. The film shifts attention away from headlines and toward the long stretches of silence between them, moments where stories stopped moving while power continued to grow. By treating silence as a meaningful part of the story, the documentary raises an unsettling question: why were certain narratives allowed to stall, and who benefited from that pause? In that space between what was known and what was ignored, influence expanded, accountability faded, and the truth remained just out of reach until now.
Like every time you think you've heard it all, another layer of darkness gets peeled back.
Right.
But the way things are unfolding for Diddy, this might just turn into the scandal of the century.
I just want to make everyone happy and just love and do my music. Do you honestly think that that's the depth?
You know, I know who Aaron Carter is, but I don't at the same time. I forgot what it was that he actually did. But I believe he came from one of those, was it like a Disney show or something like that? I believe so. Because he has a brother, yeah.
Definition of a meth head and a crackhead, teaching my niece her first dance moves, making music on my bed.
Aaron Carter was once the golden boy of pop, a wildly talented child star whose meteoric rise to fame was nothing short of remarkable. He was only 9 years old when he dropped his self-titled debut album, captivating audiences everywhere and securing his spot as one of the biggest child stars to ever grace the music industry. Carter was tipped to do great things and have a long, successful career, but as bright as his star burned, it faded just as fast. Fame at such a young age can take its toll, but there was so much more that contributed to the downfall of Aaron's career. career. Several insider sources have suggested that Aaron may have been a victim of manipulation and the toxic culture.
By revisiting the rise and eventual collapse of child fame, the documentary presents Aaron Carter not as a sensational headline but as a deeper case study. His story becomes less about personal failure and more about an environment that watched, profited, and often stayed silent. If silence is never truly neutral, the film argues, then the unavoidable question becomes, who benefited from that silence lasting so long, and why was it allowed to continue?
Aaron, how you holding up?
I'm doing good, man.
You doing good?
Yeah, staying strong. It's been 8 months of a lot of turmoil and back and forth. But at this point, I think that I've got it under control. I'm doing everything that I need to do, and just focusing on my music, which is what I love. It's my passion, and really just taking care of my aftercare, and
which consists of what? The care. You're doing what you have to do. So what does that mean to you?
Basically, a lot of people in the news, there's hundreds of posts from media, and they all said, that I'm 165 pounds, and when I checked into rehab last time, I was 117. Same weight that Michael Jackson died at, actually. And
117 pounds.
Yeah. I got my weight up and I kept it the whole time. I've managed to turn my life around, be able to purchase houses, flip houses, be a real estate mogul, do touring after all the...
So you're buying and flipping houses, huh?
Yeah.
And I see that this one is
for sale right now.
Is up for sale. This one's up for sale.
Yeah, so Christy Olympus is she's like my big sister. But she's my real estate agent. She got me to my first house, which is only like about a mile away from here.
Yeah.
And then flipped that one from 420 to 620, got $200,000 profit. I bought this one.
Aaron Carter's rise to fame began before adulthood could provide the protections most young people need. The documentary explores how the entertainment industry often celebrates youthful talent while quietly postponing responsibility for the pressures that come with it. Carter's early success is placed alongside signs of instability that emerged later, suggesting how access and opportunity can gradually transform into dependency. The film poses a difficult question: when a child's value becomes tied to fame and performance, at what point does the pursuit of success begin to overshadow the duty to protect them?
There's a lot of other stuff that's going on with that. They look at the They look at the stuff. They look at this right here, bro. First and foremost, all the companies that you have, you understand, and I know some people have trust and have companies in their kids' name. This man never put anything in his name. Why? It's either his mother, his son, his kid's name and everything like that. He had 18 companies that was giving him some kind of revenue. Why is nothing really in his name? Is there some kind of tax evasion? They looking at that. You understand? You got people in the industry that's been saying for years, this man is having sex with underage. So now the federal government is looking at that like, yo, when is somebody gonna come forward? We got this information, this alleged information, but nobody's willing to come forward. Then they go on and say, yo, Shakur Stewart mysteriously dead. Supposed to be a self-inflicted wound. Person that had everything going for him in their life. Kim Porter dead. Somebody's car gets blown up. This guy is walking around threatening other actors, people. Somebody got to get involved in it. If it ain't the state, let it be the feds. Somebody got to stop him.
He lucky that God given him the opportunity to be stopped while he's alive, than have to go to hell and face that shit. He got a chance to repent now, change his life.
You mentioned minors, you know, and a lot of people have been trying to drag Justin Bieber into this situation because there's a lot of like suspect looking videos with Diddy and Bieber in it, and you know, they're making a lot of allegations.
Same way they made allegations about Usher.
One theme the documentary returns to repeatedly is proximity, who stood closest to power and who controlled access behind the scenes. Sean Diddy Combs appears not as a final judgment, but as a recurring figure connected to conversations about mentorship, influence, and private industry circles. Rather than making direct accusations, the film maps relationships and patterns, suggesting that real power often operates through informal networks rather than official roles. This raises a deeper dilemma. If influence exists in these gray areas between titles and authority, how can traditional systems ever fully determine where responsibility truly lies?
Do you regret ever getting involved in...
I didn't have a choice. It got bad when I was about 15 years old because when I did MTV Cribs, the day that I had to go show off that house, my mom and my dad told me, we're getting a divorce, but you still have to go do this. I had to go show off all this stuff my whole life. That was...
Among the documentary's most sobering moments are the clips showing Aaron Carter publicly asking for help during difficult periods of his life. The film does not treat these moments as spectacle, but as evidence of fear, vulnerability, and isolation. In retrospect, the documentary suggests these statements may have been warning signs rather than breakdowns, signals from someone who felt increasingly exposed and desperate to be understood before it was too late.
Well, they said he died from that pneumonia.
Yes.
You know, just like Kim, just like Brittany Murphy. That pneumonia ain't no joke. Hey, every time somebody get to telling the truth about someone, whoever's been lying, they just say a little prayer and then the pneumonia comes.
Real life. It ain't real life. Just ain't real life. Real life street stars. You know what time it is.
Oh no, it's all good. But Uncle Ron, Beyonce's ex-bodyguard, who threatened to expose them. Yeah, threatened to expose them. I believe in 2023. Is deceased. He's passed away.
Allegedly, that's what they are saying.
Allegedly, that is what they are saying. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, they said he died from that pneumonia.
Yes.
You know, just like Kim, just like Brittany Murphy. That pneumonia ain't no joke. Hey, every time somebody get to telling the truth about someone, whoever's been lying, they just say a little prayer and then the pneumonia comes and then yeah. A lot of people been getting that pneumonia. I'm surprised they didn't try to say that Liam.
The film also explores how responsibility becomes complicated when distress unfolds in front of millions. Audiences watched. Platforms amplified the moments. The warning signs were visible to the public, but meaningful intervention rarely followed. When a crisis becomes public entertainment, responsibility spreads across everyone involved: the industry, the platforms, the inner circles, and even the audience. The documentary asks a haunting question: when everyone sees the signals, who is actually responsible for responding?
Got that pneumonia, but you know he went over that balcony. But the thing is, they say he went on his own. But there's two other things that I considered as I speculate. This is all my speculation. None of this is true yet. But what if somebody told him he had to jump off?
Man,
What if he would have rather jumped and be pow-pow?
Right.
You know? Or maybe imminent danger was there. And
it's
that
alleged
was
that
only escape.
Right. It's alleged that he had Tootsie.
No, that's not alleged. That is a fact. There, Rook. It was found in his system in his autopsy. That's not alleged.
That's crazy.
Did the Tootsie? Yep.
Jack, Liam Payne, his fall. There's a lot of alleged things they're saying that happened.
Multiple levels, his fall.
There's a lot of speculation.
Personal life.
Right.
Health.
What is this ties to Diddy?
I mean, all of those kids from that era, even the British bands, they all partied with Diddy. It's hard for me.
By widening the lens, 50 Cent's documentary moves beyond individual tragedies and examines a culture where minors were frequently introduced into adult spaces. The film traces how multiple young stars navigated the same corridors of power, environments where access was prioritized and boundaries were often assumed rather than enforced. The result, the documentary suggests, was a system where childhood was sometimes treated less as something to protect and more as something to manage for the sake of success.
To truly get invested in what's happening to Liam Payne right now, because I haven't gotten over what happened to Nick. Nick's brother Aaron Carter.
Right.
A lot of people keep forgetting Aaron Carter was begging for help, begging for independent financing, begging for security. He made it very clear Sony was out to get him, just like Michael Jackson told him they would be. And right around that time, his brother had just been accused of raping one of the girls from making the band, Diddy's entity. And they were trying to make all of that go away. And Aaron called his brother out. And then the next thing you know, he said, if anything happens to me, I did not do this to myself. And then he was gone, and they said he took his own life, just like they're saying about Liam Payne. Why doesn't anyone want to see the same thing happening over and over and over again? Because if Diddy is responsible for Liam Payne, then he is without a doubt responsible for Aaron Carter.
Shout out really out of street stars, nigga. Move.
Within that broader context, the film references the early career of Justin Bieber not as an accusation but as an example of how similar pathways appear again and again in the entertainment world. His rapid rise mirrors patterns seen in previous generations of young stars. When identical structures, mentorships, and environments repeat over decades, the documentary asks a difficult question: at what point does repetition stop looking like coincidence and start revealing a systemic pattern?
You know what I'm saying? It's like 150 hugs.
You're a public person as well, and there was one instance in Harlem, and his reaction when those people
went away.
Got in
the car and said, I feel like I need to wash, like I'm dirt. That was, it should show you his character.
Was that the reason for including it?
Yeah, I mean, what's the odds that you would do that in front of a camera? Like that's one of the moments where he forgot he was on tape.
How do you respond to people who say that it's more about the disdain that you have for Sean Combs than it is for giving the victims a platform?
What they consider a pre-existing beef, right, for 20 years, right, is me being uncomfortable with him suggesting that he takes me shopping, or I looked at it like it was like a tester, like maybe you'll come play with me type of thing, right? And it's not personal.
I think it's important to also let people know that the show is not completely the perspectives of people that did not like Sean. We weren't trying to just get the highlights, the salacious details, you know, that the real goal was to storytell. And not everyone needed to have an allegation to be a part of this project.
The 4-part series also features 2 jurors from Combs' trial who are speaking for the first time about how they reached their mixed verdict, finding Combs guilty of 2 prostitution offenses, but clear of racketeering and sex trafficking charges, both sharing their thoughts on the relationship between Combs and singer Cassie. Juror 75 describing them as 2 people in love, and Juror 160 saying in part, domestic violence wasn't one of the charges. Cassie, is she a victim in all this?
I believe Cassie's a victim in all this because she came in as she's like 18, like 19 years old. In the very beginning, after a while, over time, you conditioned for it.
The goal of what the film is trying to do is to let the audience kind of come in to ask questions like, were their decisions colored by certain things, and who got the benefit of the doubt, you know, in that courtroom?
Do you think that hip-hop culture was on trial as much as Sean Combs was?
Look, if I didn't say anything, you would interpret it as
the documentary ultimately frames silence not as a random occurrence, but as a system sustained through loyalty, fear, and the enormous cost of damaging powerful reputations. It suggests that many people within the industry may have understood pieces of the story yet remained quiet. In such environments, responsibility becomes so widely shared that no single individual appears accountable, even while harm continues. The result is a troubling paradox. When everyone holds fragments of the truth but no one speaks fully, accountability slowly dissolves.
We've seen footage of Sean Diddy Combs in the days leading up to his arrest in New York last September.
You want to put the stuff in my fanny pack, King?
The exclusive video obtained by Netflix shows Combs debating with his lawyers about strategy.
So they're saying it's his lawyers. How on earth did 50 Cent get a hold of footage of his lawyers? Now, one could say, isn't that privilege? How is this footage allowed? Now, you could also argue because someone's filming, there's other people there, you lose privilege. I've learned that in my appeals case. I have not filmed any of my legal meetings on purpose because if you film it, well, then it gives up your privilege in a way. So I'm assuming that's how they're getting away with this, because he's filming conversations with his lawyers, whether they knew or not. That footage, now that it's gotten in the wrong hands, or I guess different hands, isn't a longer privilege. I want to get a lawyer on it to sort of confirm it, but I gotta be honest, I'm kind of shocked. You'd think, well, this should all be included, should it not?
Listen to me, I'm gonna get off the phone right now, and I am gonna let you professionals look at the situation and come back to me with a solution. No matter what nobody said, let's just here and there, y'all are not working together the right way. We're losing.
The footage is
like the way he's bossing around these high-powered lawyers is so revealing.
Part of a new, highly anticipated docuseries by director Alex Stapleton and rapper and executive producer.
Look at that smile. Look at that smile. Oh, he's loving this.
Jackson, titled Sean Combs: The Reckoning. Was there anything that surprised you when you were watching?
I think it was surprising that he actually filmed it.
It was very interesting to watch a man who's known for his brand presence. You know, he has a really amazing knack for marketing and all of that, and how he was sort of taking that into account and how he was coming off to the public.
We knew that was coming, by the way, because we learned that throughout as he was using his own kids to post birthday messages and etc. Like, this guy wants to control everything.
The exclusive video also shows Combs in Harlem greeting fans.
He's like, oh yeah, look at all these. This wasn't shot. Yeah, what's up? He thrives in this. This is, yeah, when people recognize him. What up? Like, barely anybody there. He's like, yeah, everybody's here looking at me. He's like the quarterback that can never graduate, it feels like to me.
I need some hand sanitizer. Hold on. I got it. I've been out in the streets amongst the people. Yeah, I gotta take a bath.
I've been in the streets amongst people. I gotta take a bath. He's like horrified. He's disgusted by it.
Like the amount of people that actually I'm coming in contact with, like that's what I have to do.
As the narrative progresses, speculation gradually gives way to legal process. Commentary fades into the background, replaced by attorneys, filings, and careful examination of evidence. The film deliberately avoids sensationalism, choosing instead a restrained tone that emphasizes procedure over spectacle. This shift highlights an important reality: cultural suspicion and legal accountability are very different forces. And it raises a powerful question: if truth requires structured investigation to be taken seriously, why did it take so long for that process to begin?
$15,000, you know what I'm saying? You can sit here and tell me that you're gonna pay me for my time sitting right down here with y'all. You understand? So then, you know, one thing led to another, and I was like, yeah, all right, well then, you know, F you, you know, I spoke to 50, and then she said 50, and this is exact words that came out her mouth. 50 does not determine what goes in and goes out of this documentary. And he definitely don't pay, he determine what somebody get paid. It's not his documentary like that. I was like, oh, so if it's not his documentary and I spoke to him like that, I don't need to be doing nothing with you, because I'm doing this on the strength of him. But you gonna pay me if I do it. So it went back and forth, you know what I'm saying, for a little bit, and then they had Kirk Burrows giving me calls and everything like that. What are you calling me for? You know what I'm saying? I'm not, get out of here. I know what kind of dude you is anyway. Me and you cool and everything, Kirk, but don't call me about no business with this stuff like that. And then what I found out is that he was making a deal, cutting a deal for himself as well as Tim. You understand? And I was trying to get a deal for all three of us. You understand? So that's how them industry cats go. You know, that's what they do. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at it like this. So then he called me back again, and I told him, like, listen, man, don't you ever call my phone again, Kirk. You know what I'm saying? Because we had got into it about somebody calling him. He told me Groovy Lou called him and wanted to know why Gene's still doing this, the Puff and everything like that. And I mentioned it on the Gene Deal show. You understand? I said something. Then he called me back like I was lying. And listen to me, Kirk. Don't call me about what these clowns and these niggas say right here, bro. And especially don't call me talking about what I gotta fix, when in fact, you know what you told me and you know what our conversation was. You know what I'm saying? So the whole thing about why I'm not in the thing, the lady was talking greasy to me. She had no right to talk greasy to me. And then she told me that 50 didn't have the power to do anything, but they using his name to like push the whole documentary. And that's what it was about. So that's why you don't see a cameo other than the pictures they used of me on the film in the documentary. I got like 3 or 4 pictures in the documentary that I've seen of myself. You know, some people say they saw more, but I know three different times where I was certain places that you could actually see me in the documentary, and that's the only thing you're gonna get. But the stories that they told in the documentary, bro, come on. They could have went a whole lot deeper. They could have did a whole lot more. So I ain't in the documentary because that lady that was the director, I think, what's her name? Alex, Alex State, you know her name?
The documentary also explains why so few voices ever spoke publicly. In an industry where reputations and careers can change overnight, silence often felt safer than confrontation. Within that environment, 50 Cent positions himself not as someone claiming to have all the answers, but as someone willing to challenge the delay, forcing conversations that many believe should have happened years ago.
Well, I usually leave these things to the end of my interviews, but I really gotta say, rest in peace, Aaron Carter. Yeah. You actually called me the other day to break the news to me. Mm-hmm. And this is someone that we both interviewed multiple times. I was shocked. How did you feel when you heard the news?
Yeah, I was definitely shocked. But at the same time, I mean, I had interviewed him, I think maybe like a week and a half before he passed. I'm not sure, but it came out 3 days before he passed. Huh. And when he came in that time, he definitely was not in a great mental state. Like I remember you saying that you hadn't interviewed him for like over a year before he passed. It was the same thing with me where I was kind of interviewing him regularly, and then I didn't do it for a period of, I don't know, a year or two. And then I decided like, okay, he hit me up. I'm like, let's do it. I want to see how you're doing, check in. Came in to do the interview. It wasn't great. You know, he was drinking lean. And
he was drinking lean in the interview?
I mean, he tried to deny it, but it was like super purple. He's got a double cup. I don't know what else it would have been, but you know, he's just kind of like slurring his speech. And you know, I heard that him and his girl broke up again like 2 days after we did the interview, because she was there, like posted up, like, and I guess they had been through this dramatic breakup. And some of the stuff that I was talking to him about was super depressing, like him having his kid taken away by the state or whatever. And you know, at one point I'm trying to like tell him, like, you got to get your kid back, dude. Like, you can't be thinking about anything else. You got to just be focused on how to get your kid back. And then I start.
What emerges is not a story about performative bravery, but about the risk attached to accountability. When speaking openly threatens careers, relationships, and financial stability, truth itself can become dangerous. The documentary suggests that the real issue may not be whether people knew something was wrong, but whether the system itself made honesty too costly for anyone to act.
That's probably not a good idea, right? Like, it doesn't really seem like he's in a state where he'd be able to
wait, I don't
take care
understand,
of a kid.
Okay, wait, but his girl was there with him.
Yeah.
So how did he get his kid taken away if he's with his girl still?
Well, I guess the kid got taken away from both of them. And went to live with her grandma.
Oh.
Which, you know, and I don't know if his girl has issues or if it was 100% him causing the issues, but I guess it's like, I mean, he tried to blame it on the fans, like reporting abuse or like reporting him, saying that he's on drugs, saying all this, yada, yada. But they did get in a big fight at one point. And then I don't know exactly what happened after that, but it's like, you know, I was trying to like urge him to like really focus on getting his kid back. I can't imagine that if I was in his position, I'd be thinking about anything else. But, you know, he was really in the middle of his addiction and everything. And one thing I thought was interesting that's kind of gone unnoticed is that in that interview, he fully apologizes to his brother Nick, and said, because he had said many times that Nick was a rapist and Nick had done all this terrible shit to all these people and yada yada. And in the interview, he basically acknowledges, oh, I was taking somebody else's word for that. I don't actually believe that that's true, which I found really interesting. I'm like, so you were smearing him for all these years just because you believed one random person? I don't know. But then there was a clip that came out last night of Backstreet Boys' performance where his brother actually like broke down crying, talking about losing him and everything. And it's kind of crazy to see that, you know, where I'm sure Nick to a certain extent had felt sort of, you know, plagued by his brother and traumatized by having his brother like really trying to smear his career for all these years, saying all this terrible shit about him, and then to see him go before they were able to ever really reconcile. But I mean, Aaron in my interview was saying that he would like to reconcile with his brother, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, that is probably a ways away until you know, there's gonna have to be some space between you having made all these accusations about him and him being able to accept you, you know. But yeah, it's just a super sad
ending. In the end,
ending
the film avoids offering a neat resolution. Instead, it highlights the imbalance between fame and protection, influence and oversight, rumor and documented evidence. By revisiting the life of Aaron Carter and placing figures like Sean Diddy Combs and Justin Bieber within the same broader conversation about power and proximity, the documentary leaves viewers with one final question. When the entertainment industry is forced to examine itself, will it truly confront the systems that allowed harm to exist, or simply rebuild the silence that protected them for so long?